We are recording at the Solano College television studio. I'm your moderator, Adrian, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, AJ, Camille, and Donovan. We've each brought in one album today to discuss, and let's get right into it. AJ, what album have you brought with you today?
This week I chose Holy Waters by Puma Blue. This is an album I've enjoyed since it came out. I've been there since he was releasing the singles for it, and it's such a haunting and Halloween feeling album for me. It's got an overarching theme of grief and life as it goes on. From an article by Dash Lewis from Paste Magazine in August of 2023 when the album was releasing, the hardest thing to reconcile about experiencing grief is that it's nonlinear. It lurks in corners, an ever-present shadow threatening to become horribly tangible at an instant, and this album shows that perfectly for me. Some of the heavy hitters for me off of this album are Oh the Blood, Mirage, Epitaph, and Pretty. Two I'm going to focus on are Epitaph and Mirage. Epitaph is a song that, to me, is grief in its purest form. It's a song in remembrance of his grandma who helped raise him. And it's a song about remembering everything that they like, every little thing that he loved about her. And she's no longer, alive, so it was a bit of a farewell piece for him. And it talks about all the drawings they did together in the basement on the walls, how she would eat her cake, the little morning routine she had. And it's a very strong song for me because it's just about remembrance. It's not necessarily about grief, but love. And just because she's gone, he can still think back to all the things that they would do together, all the things that they would love to do. And it's a very, very strong, heartwarming song for me. And then kind of on the opposite end, we have Mirage. Now, Mirage it's possibly one of the most haunting songs I've ever listened to. According to an interview that Puma Blue did with Stefan Bolsonaro in August 2023 as the album was releasing again, from an article on The Range. He was waiting for a train and caught the familiar silhouette of one of his old high school friends. And instinctively, he's raising his arm, being like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then as he's about to do it, he thinks, and he's like, "Wait, that can't possibly be her. That she passed away in a car crash almost a decade ago." And it's such a powerful song because it tells the story of him going through and the gut-wrenching feeling that he has when he's looking at her and he sees, wait, that can't possibly be right because I saw her get into a car and go. Yeah. And the ending is just him wailing, "It wasn't you, it wasn't you." Yeah. And that is just, it always sends chills through my body listening to it.
I chose the album Blonde because for me, it's a very nostalgic album. I think
Blonde by who?
Blonde by Frank Ocean. Okay. Yes. I always listened to this album with my sister around maybe I think 2018. So it's very nostalgic for me. But for me, I love this album just because it's I tend to associate music with my emotions. And I feel like this album has such a variety of emotions. It's not following a theme, and it's not following a specific archetype, but every song has almost random lyrics. So you'll have a lyric and then another lyric that almost won't line up, but they have almost its own story in each lyric. Combine that with just the in my opinion the beautiful symphony of just his, like you said, his production of instruments. It just all combines into one giant emotional song that, again, the lyrics don't typically make sense, but to me, I can feel it. I can feel what he's trying to convey, if that makes sense. And I like that about this album. It's unique. It's not like every other album where they have a certain, like I said, archetype or theme to it, but this one is just very unique by it's just a variety of emotions. And my two favorite songs are Self Control The lyrics I know you gotta leave is him coming to terms that the person he's talking to needs to leave, but like the way he stutters with the I just kind of shows that he's not happy with it, but with the I know you have to leave shows that he's come to terms with it. And then Nights is my favorite song of the album. Every night, F's every day up shows a cycle of imbalance, like staying up late or dealing with stress that affects your whole life. And I like that just because, like, it shows he's, it interprets it as like almost like a lifestyle. Like every night, F's every day up. Like whatever happens in that night, for everybody it's different, but like what happens that night or late at night, it can F every day up. And again, I like these two songs just because they're so different. Like the Self-Control is talking about a relationship and coming to terms. Well, Nights is just talking about what happens at nights and like what can stressful or things that are stressful that happens like during a night and then the next day. And I feel like I said, like it's a variety of just emotions in this album, which I really enjoy. And in an interview with the New York Times, Frank Ocean explained that Blonde was meant to feel like a stream of thoughts rather than a structured album. And that explains why the songs can feel unpredictable or even unfinished, but in a way that feels intentional. And again, I think that's a very unique way of like an album or like putting out an album is just like a variety of emotions.
Okay. And Camille, what have you thought with you?
So I chose the album The Divine Feminine by Mac Miller.
Okay.
This album has always been a staple in my everyday life, and I usually do associate songs or artists or albums with the emotion that I'm currently experiencing, or if there's like a situation I'm going to, then I surround the songs I'm listening to based off of that. This song is mainly comforting when I'm in more of like an upbeat mood, just because of the melody and the artist features. I feel like they tie into have like this very like upbeat feeling towards it. But I think my most favorite part about this album wasn't just the songs itself, but it was also the meaning behind it. This album is supposed to be surrounded by viewing women in this divine sense. Whether it's in a relationship, he wanted to put an emphasis on love towards women specifically, and being able to look at them not as something to be hated on if there's like a breakup, but to look at them without any drama or like malice towards them. He actually did an interview with iHeartRadio, and he was asked why he named the album The Divine Feminine, and he said that it portrays like his perspective on love with the emphasis on a positive note towards women. He said that he still wanted to portray that love does come with hardships, but like you should still look at a woman and still admire them like they are this like divine thing no matter what. And I don't know if you guys do remember the album cover, but the back of it is going to be pink, and then it's a silhouette of the woman in the back, and then in the center of her there's these clouds, and it's like a picture of the sky. And he said that he did that purposefully so that it looks like the universe is centered around her. And I feel like that's very beautiful how intentional he was with just the album cover itself and the reason why he made the album. But you can see how this album encapsulates his character, because in the publication Medium by Xavier Roan, he told his fans, get some love in your life, whether that be another person or just loving yourself. Love is good, spread love. This shows that his album is a representation of himself and his morals, and I think that it's special that we're able to get such a deep dive into a person and what they bring into this world. Some of my favorite songs from this album are going to be We and Skin. I feel like his vocals stand out a lot in those, as well as like the instrumentals in the back, and it stands out a lot from the rest of the songs. Usually it's common to hear songs that sound overplayed, or you can like hear them on the radio, but those two songs specifically, they're just so unique in just every aspect, and I always just gravitate to those songs specifically. An honorable mention though is the song My Favorite Part, which features Ariana Grande, because during this time he was actively dating Ariana Grande, and when I was younger I used to really be obsessed with her, and so being able to see both of their chemistry just like through the words, and also if you watch the music video, like you can really see that as well. But yeah, I really love that song.
Okay. The album that I have personally chosen is First Utterance by Comus. This is a prog rock album from 1971, and it is the first of 3 albums that the band would put out in its very short run. This is a very experimental prog rock album. It broke a lot of boundaries when it first released, and I think it got really washed away by time. It's very underrated. The band doesn't use traditional instruments like electric guitars and drum kits in favor of acoustic guitars, hard percussion, and violins, flutes, things like that give the album a very psychedelic, medieval, folksy feel. The album feels very enchanted. It's very beautiful to me. It feels like you're running through the woods or getting told stories around the campfire. And to quote an article from the Progressive Subway called Lost in Time, Comus, First Utterance. Comus is a band like no other. The fact that half a century later there still hasn't been a band that's able to recreate the magic of First Utterance is a testament to its quality and uniqueness. And I would fully agree with this statement. I have not heard anything that is on par with Comus, anything that is nearly as enchanted or beautiful in the same way that this album is, and not even the band's other albums could stand up to this one. And so now we get into segment number 2, which is where we all discuss each other's albums. We're going to focus and go album by album, and we're all going to share our thoughts on it. And I think where we should start is Blonde by Frank Ocean. I would say this album is very easy listening. It has a very tame, calm production. At times, I enjoy its slow pace. I don't very much go for sad music, but I did like this album. Like you said, it has very disjointed. It does feel a little bit unfinished, but intentional, like you said. And I like it. It's a collage of Frank Ocean's thoughts. I never really gave Frank Ocean much attention in music, but I've heard this album is his masterpiece. And I did very much enjoy it. It was more of a positive experience than a negative one. I like the mix of synthesized and live instruments, the church organ, all the synths and the guitars. I would say it's a very focused album overall. It understands its scope, and Frank Ocean has wonderful artistic capabilities. AJ, what would you say about the album?
This album for me just showed how skillful as like a musician that Frank Ocean is. It showed his vocal range. It showed his ability to produce music, like as a whole, and like instrument wise. I know he did a lot of the instrumentals on it.
Yeah.
And production-wise, he knocked it out of the park. Like the mixing of the vocals, the layering of everything, the panning, everything, it felt like it was where it was supposed to be. Yeah. And I could really see the vision that he was going for. My 2 favorites off the album were Siegfried and Godspeed. For Siegfried, it did feel like I was in the middle of a movie soundtrack. Lyrically, I really liked it. One of the lyrics I really liked from it was, "This is not my life, just a fond farewell to a friend." That one hit me pretty hard because I did just help my friend move halfway across the country. And it's not my life, but it was just a fond farewell to a good friend of mine. And I really liked, stylistically wise, how the last few minutes of the song, it was just him monologuing over it. And it didn't feel like he had to sing, but he was getting the points that he wanted to get out across. And I really appreciate that, because not a lot of artists will just sit there and talk on a beat like he will. And that was really special for me on that one. Godspeed, I really felt like I was just walking through a cathedral. His voice was just right there. The instrumental was fantastic. Visually, I felt like I was right there. I'd say that's definitely my favorite song off of the album. And the production of it, like I said, by far, it's amazing. I think that Godspeed, production-wise, was the best off of the album. And my favorite lyrics off of it was, "You look down on where you came from sometimes, but you'll always have this place to call home, always." And relating that back to my friend moving, that we always we'll downplay, "Oh, we're from Vacaville, California, nothing happens here." But, he'll always have a home there. Yeah. And no matter what, that'll be where he grew up. And that's always going to be his home. And for me, I wish that was the last song on the album. Yeah. But overall, I did really enjoy the album.
All right, and Camille, what would you say about it?
I really loved your album. I feel like if I didn't choose my album, I would have chose yours. I think one thing that's really unique about him is when you listen to the lyrics, it's not traditional, because if you're trying to piece everything in a story, it doesn't really make sense. You kind of have to take it line by line. But the way that he sings it, whether it's with auto-tune or there's some sort of back melody, everything just ties together so beautifully, and it's not something that I could personally come up with. Everything is just so creative about all of it. I think some of my favorite songs would probably have to be Nike's Self Control and then Nights, because like I said earlier, a lot of songs you hear them on the radio and they just kind of sound repetitive. With those ones, you wouldn't hear a song that has so much auto-tune behind it. You would think like, why would I listen to this? But with that song specifically, I don't know if it was Nights or Nike's, but it fits with the song so well, and he did everything beautifully. Just like how AJ said, like the production of everything was just done so well. And yeah.
All right, and I think the next album we'll jump to is Holy Waters by Puma Blue. This is my first exposure to Puma Blue. Like you said, they have a lot of different albums, but I think this is probably where they found their sound. I mean, I can see they've done it. It's very amazing. Great mix of live instruments with a lot of style. Like I said, not a huge fan of sad music, but this is such a powerful sadness. It's really sorrowful. It's grief. And from Paste Magazine, it's a darkly hypnotic collection, swooning and seductive, nearly impossible to tear yourself away from. There's a smoldering power bolstering these delicate songs. Holy Water is as vulnerable as eye contact, as exquisitely cathartic as a scream into the void. And I would also describe this album as cathartic, very vulnerable. There's a lot of just passion and intensity behind the vocals, and a lot of variety in the tracks, so I never felt like each song was blending into each other and becoming the same. There were a lot of low moments in the tracks where things slowed and calmed down, and then there were a lot of high moments where things really just came at you, and I thought it was great. What would either of you say about it?
So I also didn't really dabble with Puma Blue, but I think I did hear a little bit about him. But Holy Waters by Puma Blue is definitely, I really like this album. I definitely think it's the storytelling is very emotional. It's basically like it's just a story in order of explaining how a relationship is going and how it's affecting him, and I really enjoy that. Although I did like Blonde because of the variety, I can really appreciate just like the storytelling and how like in order it is. Like with my favorite song was Falling Down, which was the beginning of the album. It had like this very dreamy feeling to it, almost like you're just laying on your bed and you're just like staring at the ceiling, just caught in your thoughts. And to me, this is like the beginning of the story. Like this is like the preview of what's gonna happen at the end. Because right next to it would be like Pretty. The next song after that was Pretty, and he's like just admiring this person. He's like admiring the figure, admiring who she is, and how much he loves her. And like compared to like Falling Down, it's just such a different vibe because he's admiring her compared to like him being caught in like his thoughts. And then Oh the Blood just shows like how he would like sacrifice anything for her. Like he talks about basically like the title says, he's spilling blood for her. Anything he would do anything for her just to keep her. And I feel like with story based wise, it just shows like how much he'd do for her because there's a risk of her leaving. And that brings me to like too much. I think with again like story based wise, it just shows like the relationship is just a lot. Like he says, with too much, he explains it's too much. And then the crushing weight of it all. So it's just showing that whatever's happening in this relationship, his emotions are just too overbearing. Like whatever's happening, it's affecting him so much. His emotions becoming too overbearing. And I feel like throughout the album, it just keeps getting worse and worse in the relationship. And I just love how it starts at the top at the beginning, and then throughout it just starts to get lonely for him. Like you can tell like his emotions are really impacting him. Whatever's happening, like the loss of his significant other is really affecting him, and I can tell he shows that through his songs. And I don't know, I just love this album just because the feeling and just the emotions of it is just very prominent.
I've listened to Puma Blue, but it was more of his like mainstream songs. This is like my first time going through his album like in depth. But one of my favorite things about this album specifically, which I don't think he did in his other songs, but in the beginning his voice is very like melancholy, and then towards like the middle to the end, his the volume starts getting like increasingly louder, and I feel like you're kind of trapped like in his mental state. It's like at first he's like processing his emotions, then the middle he's like accepting it and being like, whoa, like what's going on? And I really like that. Like you feel like you're like a part of him when he's like singing these songs. And just kind of like what Donovan said, the whole album is told in chronological order. Like as you go further down the album, it's kind of like he's increasingly like dealing with more waves of emotions than he was in the very beginning. And I really did like that. I feel like this whole album was told like beautifully, like on a storytelling level, and that I really did like that the whole album feels like you're in a fever dream, but you're listening to the album underwater, if that makes sense. Like that was like a really unique part to me.
All right, and I think the next album that we'll choose to discuss is First Utterance. Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
All right.
I had a lot of fun with this album. I like storytelling wise, it did tell a story. Like each song told its own story, and there seemed to be like an overarching like thing of like older villages as they're like worshiping deities and they're doing their rituals and stuff. But like if you for me it felt like I was watching or listening to a movie soundtrack or like a movie score. Like if you put a silent film and just pasted this album over it, it would fit perfect. It like the emotions that it draws out from me, it's like I'm sitting down at a campfire story and like there's a live band and I'm getting told a story of this village and its deity and how it's coming out to, it's ready for its sacrifice, and the villagers are like they're trying to find one, and it's like it's shares such vivid imagery that it's like the instruments itself, they're feeding you the emotion. As it builds up, it starts to get faster, and then it'll drop, and then it'll be like a little low, and then it just keeps going. And it's such a fun album, like stylistic wise, because it tells a story and it tells it really well.
All right, what would either of you two have to say about it?
I did like the story or the album, First Utterance by Comus, just because it was definitely unique. You said it was made in 1970s?
Yes.
Yeah, I like the fact that it stepped away from like your average 70s upbeat, like funk type music. And it's just like, it's a very eerie vibe definitely at the beginning. And I like that about it because it's unique compared to all those 70s music. Yeah. I like the fact that it tried capturing just like an uncomfortable, again, eerie, almost scary vibe. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched Get Out and Us. Yeah. I feel like this album would fit perfectly in those movies just because it's so eerie at the beginning, and also just like it's storytelling with some of these songs. Like, I feel like with, I believe it was Bitten. No, The Bite. The Bite yes. talks about just like predators and prey in the forest and hiding. But the song and just the music in the background is so well done to the point where I just feel like I'm the prey hiding, like that I'm hiding from the predator, and I feel like they captured that very well. And my second favorite song in this album, I definitely say, is The Prisoner. I just like the way it's more emotional and it's slower, and I like the way he expresses how he feels trapped. I believe he was in like an asylum.
I believe a mental asylum.
Yeah, and he just expresses how he just feels trapped and he wants to be freed and escape. And yeah, I like this album just because it's definitely a different step. It's a different vibe from everything else, and it definitely captures what it was going for, which was like to make you almost uncomfortable, be visual, and make you feel like you're in this situation, and it's supposed to make you feel like you're something that you're not used to. Yeah. So.
And Camille, what would you add to that?
Well, usually when I listen to rock albums, I would say I listen to more like mainstream, like upbeat songs, like how Donovan was saying. So I will backpack off of that. And like in the 70s, I do feel like something like this wasn't ever like curated before. And I really did like how it's very different. It's very unique in that sense. Like all of the instrumentals are like kind of like in your face, but like I've never experienced a song that did that. Like when you listen to the song like with headphones, like it's like a lot to take in. But like I really did like that the album was able to do that. I think that my favorite song out of everything though was probably The Prisoner. I feel like it kind of did take a step back from like the rest of the album, and I was able to understand like the themes going on and like really be able to like process the lyrics. So yeah, I really did like this album.
All right. And the last album that we have to discuss for segment 2 is The Divine Feminine by Mac Miller. So when I listened to this album for the first time, it was my first ever real listen to Mac Miller. I've heard a few of his songs, but never sat down and listened to him proper myself. And I could really hear the passion in his voice. I could tell that this is much more of a creative endeavor. He speaks really from the heart, and he has a very good way of striking emotional chords. I think it's a really beautiful album about love, intimacy, and like you said, not a lot of other hip hop artists write positive songs about women, so this was pretty neat. And I thought the production on it was very clean, definitely nice sounding. It sounds a lot like other Mac Miller songs that I've heard in that sense. He has his own unique production style, and I think it was great. Would you like to?
Going off of what Adrian was saying with the like his own production style, there are some songs in here where you can hear the impact that he's had on the community. Like in Soulmate, it's songs like those where I can hear, oh, they might have like listened to this and they borrowed from that, or they really liked how the song was structured, and they would take that and make it their own. And it's really cool to like knowing that he has passed away. But like I've never really listened to Mac Miller before, and then going through and hearing like, oh, I know a song that probably got inspired by this or took inspiration from this, and it was really cool seeing hearing that in the songs throughout the album. My favorite part about the album was the features, like the CeeLo Green feature, that was great. The Ariana Grande feature, oh my god. You don't find artists that often that have such good chemistry together. And the way their voices were bouncing back and forth between each other, the harmonies they were going. His was all like smooth and low, and hers, she was hitting those notes and she was like putting that emphasis on it, and it was such a masterclass of a song. And genuinely one of my favorite, like throughout this entire process, probably my favorite song that I listened to was My Favorite Part.
I definitely loved this album. I myself love Mac Miller, and with Divine Feminine, I really like this album. I feel like it's just like he describes, like you said, I'm gonna piggyback off what you said. He doesn't like patronize women, or he's not like your typical song where like they're either patronizing women or they're going through something and they want to push them away or they hate somebody. It's just like it's the whole album is just like almost like he's worshiping this woman like a deity. Like, and I really like that about this album. It's like with Skin, I like the way the lyric says, I just want to feel your skin. I don't know if you guys hear it, but some relationships, like people say, oh, I just want to be inside your skin. Like, it's just like a physical, intimate connection that you're not going to have with somebody else, but with you, if you have it with your significant other, it shows that connection and that just like you want to be with them, like you want to be around them. And I love that about that with Skin. I really liked Congratulations. The sun don't shine. The lyric says, the sun don't shine when I'm done or when I'm alone. So like, it just expresses how like whenever he's alone and he's not around his significant other, the sun doesn't shine. I mean, it's all just darkness, and like you're emotionally like not there. Like you're not gonna feel like, that you. It's just basically, it's basically that you feel alone, right? Without her, you don't feel like yourself. The sun isn't shining, and it's just not all sunshine and rainbows. It's all darkness. You don't feel like you want to be there or alone. And yeah, I just feel like this album is just like an emotional and physical and reflective of just everything of just like worshiping your significant other. And I really like that about this album.
Okay, so now we'll move on to segment number 3. This is where we give our final thoughts on each other's albums. We're going to give each album a rating on a scale from 1 to 10, and then we're going to close things up. And I think we'll start with what we began on in segment 2, which is Blonde by Frank Ocean. Before I listened to this album, I had other people sort of tell me about it, and they told me this album was one of the greatest albums that's ever been made, that it was a masterpiece, all that. And I personally do not think it lived up to that expectation. I don't really enjoy slow-paced albums unless it's something like a post-rock album, which has a super high, vibrant moment that can make up for that. And honestly, I felt like this album kept me waiting for something like that because it has so many songs that are 5-7 minutes long that really stay constant throughout with the tension and don't really build up to anything greater. I felt like there was too many interludes on this album that really shouldn't have made it on. I mean, you have songs that really end like 2 minutes in, and then you have like a 4-minute interlude at the end, and I really don't enjoy that. And I couldn't really find a negative review for this album, so I'm just gonna review a review. This is from The Slate. This album is impeccable. It has no skips and it flows effortlessly through tracks. Blonde is one of the most beautiful pieces of art that has ever been created and always will be. Everything about this album is soul-touching, and I always found myself enjoying it. I would not call a Frank Ocean album one of the greatest pieces of art that's ever been created. It cannot live up to that title. Yeah. What about you?
I'm right there with him. This was like my first like real sit down with Frank Ocean as well, and like overall it was very hit or miss for me. The first half was like, it would be like, all right, I really like, I liked parts of this song, and then it'd be like 3-minute interlude, and then song I didn't like. This one was pretty solid until it hit about, what was it, Solo Reprise? Yeah. Like once it hit that, it was banger, and then the ending.
Yeah.
And my main issue with it is that it's too long, and that I had to get through the first half to get to the part I really liked.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it didn't, the high points were there, but it would be like the high point was there and then it tails off and then it continues for 3 more minutes. And that's just, that really killed the album for me. And along with what Adrian was saying, like I've heard, especially like going into it, people hyping it like this is one of the greatest albums I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's not there for me. Like it's a good album. There's songs I really liked off of it, but for me it's like a 7 out of 10.
Oh yeah, I would also give it 7 out of 10. I forgot.
I don't have like a lot of bad things to say about this album, but I will say that there was a lot of interludes and I feel like it was kind of unnecessary. I feel like it were just kind of random and they didn't really mesh with the rest of the songs. Like usually when you listen to interludes, like these songs were like, the interludes were on their own. So I feel like it just acted like a filler, if anything. But honestly, that's pretty much it. I mean, I would rate this album maybe like an 8 out of 10. I've heard better, but it's still pretty good.
And I think we'll move on then to Holy Waters by Puma Blue. I could not personally find much negative to say about this album in particular, rather than the fact that sad music, I'm hit or miss on it. I really did enjoy most of this album, but like I said, I don't think I could sit down and listen to this very sad piece again and again and again. What would either of you two?
I personally, this is my first time listening to a Puma Blue album. I did like it. I could say kind of felt a little repetitive with some songs, although it had different stories. The music was a little bit repetitive, but personally, I do like slower, sadder songs. I'm like a mixture of everything. I love all songs, but I do really like slower songs, and I like the blending of instruments into this music, and I also really like just the dreaminess feel of it. That's definitely my cup of tea, especially with Blonde is kind of somewhat the same way. So I definitely, for me, I would have to rate this album probably a 8 out of 10.
I really like the album. I listened to some of his mainstream songs, like I already said, but the only thing I will say is like some of the songs do sound like a bit repetitive, like in the beginning. I don't think I could listen to this album like all the way through, but I already liked like 3 of the songs and I added it to my playlist. I do wish that the song Holy Water, since it is representing the whole album, I kind of wish it was a more standout song. I feel like Mirage was like that was really good. I like but I rate this album like an 8 out of 10.
I would also give it 8 out of 10. I keep forgetting to rate them. But I think then we'll talk First Utterance. Who would like to get us started with that?
I am not a very big fan of the album. It's not usually something that I listen to. I mean, I can appreciate all kinds of music, but it's not something that I would ever listen to like on a daily basis. I feel like the instrumentals were a bit too much for me, and just like the kind of like underlying themes of it, like I don't think I could really get into it just because of that. But I definitely can appreciate the fact that it was very unique for its time, and I will give it credit for that. And I do really like the different instruments that were used. Like, it's very unique, and like it's not just something that you'd casually hear. Like, no offense, on like a Frank Ocean or a Mac Miller album, you know. So I'd probably just give this album maybe like a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel the same way with her. I definitely feel like it's a different approach from your typical songs, which I give it credit for. I really do like that it is like that. But for me, it's just it takes that step a little bit farther than expected, or what I expected. It's definitely eerie. It's almost ghoulish in a way. Some songs definitely felt like almost like I'd say like a ritual, which is not bad. I feel like that's what it was going for. But for me, it's not my type of songs to get into. And I definitely think there's certain lyrics definitely that made me uncomfortable. But I think that's what it was going for. Like the certain visuals and just the lyrics in general, they were meant to make you uncomfortable because I feel like that's what the album went for. But for me, it just wasn't my type of thing. And I definitely think I would probably rate it about a 6.5, I'd say.
All right. What about you?
I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I was I felt like I was there.
Yeah.
You know, there are some songs where I felt like I was walking through a dead forest and there's something over there. There's a bird, and I'm like it's trippy because it's music, but I felt like I was there.
Yeah.
And the imagery and the emotion that it puts you throughout the entire album, like with The Prisoner. It's the man in the mental asylum, and it starts off kind of like whimsical and like happy, and then it just descends into madness. Like, why am I here? I'm not mad. What are you doing? And it's like the emotion that it can put you through is so fun, and it tells great stories throughout it. And like, I felt like I was just at a campfire and there was a band there, and I can really appreciate that. And I couldn't find much that I didn't like about it. The only parts was some parts here and there dragged on, where it could have been like 40 seconds. It could have been like a 20-second build up instead.
Yeah.
But even then, it set its pace and its tone really well. And so I'd give it a solid 8. Maybe on a re-listen, I could bump that to an 8.5.
Yeah. And then the last album we have is The Divine Feminine by Mac Miller. I don't have much to say here that I didn't already say for the other albums. It's slow, it's sad. That's not exactly my jam, but I still enjoyed it throughout. There were a couple tracks that I can't really remember. I feel like they kind of blended together. Especially the ones that weren't features. I feel like the features were kind of the strongest songs on the album. So overall, I would give the experience, I would give it another 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I don't think I would ever really put it on a day-to-day basis, though. What about you?
My big thing I said earlier, my favorite thing about the album was the features, and I feel like that takes away from it because I felt like I was looking forward to the features more than I was the Mac Miller verses.
You should have your best verse in your own album.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like he had maybe a top 5 verse in his own album. I don't know. That too, I've never really sat down and listened to Mac Miller simply because his rap style, it doesn't work for me. It feels too much like slam poetry, and I get the themes of it. It's very good, but it's just the rap style, it's too blocky for me. I can't really get into it, but like I said, I can hear the inspiration that he's had on the community, and I can see the appeal. It's just not for me. Even though I didn't really care for all of that, I'd still give it a 7.5. There's a lot of songs where I can sit down, I'd put that on a playlist. But the whole album itself, just not entirely for me.
All right.
For me, like I said, I always grew up listening to Mac Miller. Like you said, he's a different taste, and he's definitely a repetitive rapper, but for me it's I grew up with listening to him, so I've always liked it. Like they said, I definitely say the big parts about this album are definitely the features. Again, he's repetitive, so when you hear another Mac Miller album, it's just gonna kind of sound the same.
Yeah.
But what saved this album, what I really liked about the album was definitely the meaning behind it, and then the features. again, like I liked how it portrayed the meaning behind this album very well. Like the love and the intimate and just the everything about worshiping, like I said, worshiping your significant other. It definitely portrays through this album. I'll try to not give it bias because I love Mac Miller. But yeah, I definitely rate this about 7.8 out of 10.
All right, thank you guys so much for the discussion. And thanks to the viewers at home for watching with us. This has been the First Impressions podcast. I'm your moderator, Adrian. This is AJ, Camille, and Donovan signing off. Thank you.
If you are interested in a career in sports broadcasting,
whether you're commentating a live game
or hosting your own TV show,
for more information, contact Greg Poff. That's me at solano.edu.
we hope to see you here next semester. And remember,
it's more than just sports, it's an education.